This match sucked. Biggest WrestleMania match of all time. My butt. This thing sucked. I think Roman actually dislocated his shoulder. I would know because I've torn my rotator cuff numerous times, and I know that pain, and I know the pain of putting my shoulder back into socket on the spot. But still, that was horrible. I'm just sitting here waiting to see if the Rock's gonna should come out. This is what we spent the last 4 months building up to? Really? Like the visual of Roman holding both titles with the pyro. Well, I guess there is no pyro. But still, no Rock? Is he not coming out? Is that it? Is that it? They keep panning the Brock and Roman like something about to happen, but is Walk is oh, there's the pyro. I'm disappointed. I'm sorry, guys. I'm sitting here disappointed. That's it? I'm trying to fix the camera, but that's it? Really? That's it? No. And that's it. WrestleMania goes off the air. I'm going to turn off my TV. I'm going to turn my lights off, and then we'll get started with the review. I'll be back in just a sec, but that's it, really? That was the biggest WrestleMania match of all time? Seriously? I'm always right. I'm always right. Seriously. We wasted the last 4 months of storytelling, right? Everything that you've done to try to build this, the greatest WrestleMania match ever. For that crock of shit? Really? Look, I wasn't expecting Brock and Roman to be amazing, but I thought this is, their third WrestleMania match, and you're billing it as the greatest wrestling match or the biggest WrestleMania match ever. That shit was ass. Holy moly, was that bad? I'll give you guys, time here to get into the chat and stuff, but that was. Wait, I'm texting my friends right now. I'm texting my boys right now. I'm right. I'm glad that everyone on social media is saying the same thing. No blood. All they did was finishers. That. Oh my gosh. I'm going through Twitter right now. I want to see what everyone else is saying about Twitter. I know. I'll say this: WrestleMania was great as a whole, but I'm focused on Brock and Roman. I'm going through everyone's Twitter right now. Mm. Let me know what you guys think. I see the chat right now. I see y'all. And y'all saying Edge and AJ was bad. You guys are dumb. Don't be dumb, people. You're smarter than that. Holy moly. No, Edge and AJ was no. It was arguably a top 3 match of the weekend. Like, come on, guys. You have to be smarter than that. Edge and AJ delivered. You guys saying that Edge and AJ was bad? Come on. You guys should be smarter than that. Come on. I'm gonna go through Twitter just a little bit more, and then we'll get started. Give you guys time to get your hot takes in. I'm going through Twitter. Everyone's saying the same thing. Everyone's saying the same thing. Lesnar, nothing will top Lesnar and Roman from WrestleMania 31. Yep. Yep. Someone said Johnny Knoxville's match was better. Yep. Yep. Someone said suplex, Superman punch, spear, F5, barricade spot, low blow, table spot, Heyman spot, Uso spot, repeat. I love it. But even though it is the truth, it is the truth. I'm telling you, man. Like, no, who's lying? Who's lying? Oh, what up, Purple Bond? What's up, brother? All right, that's another, but all right. We'll go through Twitter a little bit more, but look. What have I been saying the last 4 months? We'll talk about all of night 2 because night 2 was enjoyable. WrestleMania as a whole delivered. This was a great WrestleMania. And the thing about it is the idea and the concept of them going to 2 nights, worked out. Because I'm telling you right now, if this was a one-night show, no way would we be saying the positive things we've been saying about WrestleMania, right? I'm going to repeat a lot of the things I said on night 1 here tonight on night 2, because night 2 was great. I don't know. Probably all in all, night 1 was probably a little bit better, but as a whole, WrestleMania was fantastic. Epic matches, great moments, and it felt stupendous. But I want to focus on the main event. This is where we're going to go with our opening shoot, right? I want to focus on the main event with Brock and Roman because you built everything about this WrestleMania around this match, right? From day one when Roman got COVID and you decided to make Brock the WWE champion, you decided at that moment you're going to build all the WrestleMania build around these two superstars, right? And a lot of people had their WrestleMania plans significantly changed because of that, right? Big E was the WWE champion at the time. Would Big E have been WWE champion tonight if you hadn't gone in this direction? Who knows? We know that Seth was supposed to win at day 1, but maybe it would have led to Seth versus Big E at Mania. Who knows? Seth Rollins had his Mania plans changed, even though, he had that epic match and probably the best match of the entire weekend with Cody. But still, Seth, had his WrestleMania change. He was originally supposed to walk into WrestleMania WWE champion, right? Big E, he was in the WWE title picture. He got regulated to the tag team division, and he wasn't even on Mania tonight because he got injured. If you don't put the focus on Roman and Brock, maybe Big E isn't in the tag team division at this time. Maybe Big E would still be in the WWE title picture. Maybe Big E wouldn't even be injured. He may have actually been on WrestleMania this weekend, right? You look at who else had their WrestleMania plans changed? Bobby Lashley, right? He was supposed to be in the WWE title picture, and you changed those plans as well. Who else? That we can go through almost everybody, but so many people had their WrestleMania plans changed because you wanted to focus everything on Brock and Roman. That's what this entire build was. Look, we only had 6 title matches this weekend, right? Because technically this title match tonight in our main event was a 2-for-1 title for title unification, whatever you want to call it, And I'm sorry, it under-delivered from the start. From this moment that this match was teased, I was against it. Ever since day 1, we have been talking about this. Legitimately, me and my boy Anthony, aka Moose, we had a conversation about this way back at day 1. He said they should merge the titles. I convinced him that was a bad idea. And who was proven right? Me. I've been saying for months, since day 1, January 1st, I've been saying Brock and Roman is not the route to go. Because the only person that's going to get elevated at the end of this is Roman. This is all being done just to elevate Roman, right? Roman getting his WrestleMania victory on Brock, because he didn't beat Brock at WrestleMania 31 because they did the Rollins cash-in. He lost to Brock at WrestleMania 34. This was all done just to elevate Roman. But the thing about it is, I didn't need to see this tonight. I never wanted to see it to begin with. I was never down with it. I tried, but no, yes, there was some good promos cut by Roman and Lesnar. There was some good segments on the road to WrestleMania, but at the end of the day, I was never down with this match. I never wanted to see it. We have seen Brock and Roman How many times? How many times? WrestleMania 31, WrestleMania 34. We've seen that SummerSlam. We've seen that Crown Jewel. We've seen it so many times. And I've told you guys from the start, Roman and Brock are not going to do anything in this match that you haven't seen from them in the past. Seriously. Right? Like, and I was proven right. Oh, everyone's talking about, oh no, this is the third match. Oh no, this is the biggest WrestleMania match of all time. They're going to deliver. They're going to get the job done. I was like, no, they're not. No, they're not. Brock and Roman, you look at their styles. You've seen how many times they've wrestled. What are they going to do differently here that they haven't done in the past? It was the match itself, and I was so glad that I was looking at social media and looking at our Discord channel and just seeing everybody agreeing with me, because I said this from the start. All it was suplex, Superman punch, spear, Kimura lock. That was it. That was it. There was nothing else. At the beginning, they traded some blows, but that was it. This was nothing different from anything you've seen in the past with Brock and Roman. And I told you guys this from the start. They're not going to do anything different. They did the Roman with Spears Brock through the barricade. How many times have you seen that spot? Not just with Roman, but you've seen it with Lashley. You've seen it with Goldberg. They do that spot with Brock every single time. This is the kind of stuff I'm talking about. This is why I'm right. This is why you guys listen to me. You know? Like, because I know what I'm talking about. For you, everyone's like, no, this is going to be a fight. This is going to be blood. Lesnar's going to get payback on Heyman. The Usos are going to be involved. None of that stuff happened. Lesnar didn't get no payback on Heyman. They didn't even have Lesnar F5 Heyman, which I thought they were going to do for sure. Lesnar didn't get no payback on Roman at all. Nothing. You just wasted all of this time for nothing. When what? Roman walks out undisputed champion. Fine. Whatever. We all knew that was going to happen. I said, I've been saying for months, 99.9999999% sure that Brock or that Roman is walking out undisputed champion. We all knew that going into this. You at least would think that they would make the match epic, right? You'd think that they would at least make it a big moment. They didn't. I thought, at minimum, maybe they can make this the best Brock and Roman match. It wasn't. Honestly, if I'm being 100% honest with you right now, Brock and Roman was one of the worst matches of the entire weekend. It was horrific. Because we've seen the match before. If we hadn't seen Brock and Roman in the past, right, maybe then I could say, oh, this is all right. But this was almost just like every single Brock and Roman match that came before it. That's what made it absolutely horrific. That's what made it unenjoyable. I was sitting here bored out of my mind. Legitimately bored out of my mind. Because I've seen this. I was like, Roman hit like 3 Superman punches in a row. How many times have you seen that? Lesnar F5's Roman multiple times. It was bad. And I'm tweeting out the link to the stream just so people could join us, man. But it was bad. It was unenjoyable. I'm sorry. And yes, Roman is now the undisputed Universal Champion. But all you people that want to say Roman's the GOAT and all these things, no, he's not. The GOATs deliver in these types of situations. Well, I'm not saying Roman's not going to go down as an all-time great, but when you're in that type of spot, you deliver something that we're going to go back and rewatch again and again. The only Roman Reigns WrestleMania match that I would go back and rewatch again and again, well, there's 2 of them. The WrestleMania 31 match with Brock and the last year's match with Edge and Daniel Bryan at WrestleMania 37. That's it. Like all these people that want to say Roman's the GOAT, right? Greatness on a different level, needle mover, all these other merch stuff he wants to sell. It's not true. It's mismarketing at the end of the day. It's not true. It's disappointing. It really is disappointing. Because you put all this stock in the Roman. How many people on the main roster have you buried? Right? How many people that deserve to be in the world title scene have you pushed aside for Roman? Because damn, man. Honestly, how many people have you, I've done this before. Kevin Owens, Seth Rollins, Big E, Drew McIntyre, right? Finn Balor, John Cena, who else is Roman beating that I'm forgetting? Edge, Daniel Bryan. The list goes on and on and on. I could sit here all day. But you've had Roman beat so many top guys that deserve to be world champions because you want to elevate Roman to be one of the all-time greats, right? And I'm not saying Roman's not great, but when you look at the greats, they deliver in the biggest moments. And Roman has gotten to the point where he's so stale as champion, I don't want to see it anymore. I love his theme, right? When he comes out, it gives me goosebumps because his theme is great. And the visual of him holding titles with the Usos and Paul Heyman, those are great pictures, great stuff, and it makes for great merch. But at the end of the day, I'm sick of Roman. I've had enough of it. And I don't care if you agree with me or not. That's the way I feel. You put so much stock on the elevating Roman above everybody that it's gotten to the point for me where it's not enjoyable anymore. It's not. It's the same thing, rinse and repeat. And now I don't know what the plan is going to be going forward. I don't know what their plans are. I don't know if, since technically this was a unification match, right? I guess now the titles are won. I think it's being called what? The Undisputed WWE Universal Championship. I guess that's what it's going to be called, right? Kind of like what they did with Chris Jericho back in the day. But I don't know. I don't know if they plan at maybe with Money in the Bank, they could separate the titles again. I don't know if they're going to introduce a new world title on Raw. Maybe bring back the World Heavyweight Championship. All right. Or I don't know if Roman's just going to defend the title on both shows. I don't know what the plans are. But at the end of the day, I'm disappointed. All of this stock just for a disappointing outcome for the main event of WrestleMania that you spent all this time building up to. I don't know. And the Mr. Zone, yeah, I'm looking in the chat, and I'll go through the rest of the chat in a little bit. I know some of you guys are leaving to go watch JD's stream, of course, which I'm not surprised. But Mr. Zone says, Fitzmonk, hope you read this. I heard that Cody's contract when he signed back that he would beat Roman for the title sometime soon. They usually don't put that kind of specifics in a contract. I expect Cody to be pushed like a main event star, and I will be honest, I said this last night, Cody should be the guy that beats him for that title. Cody should be the one built up to take that title from Roman, unless they, introduce a new title on Raw. I don't know what the plan is, but at the end of the day, I'm sick of it. Yes, there's still matches you can do with Roman, right? You can do Drew McIntyre, you can do Bobby Lashley, you can do Cody Rhodes, right? And I don't know what the plan is, but right now, I'm disappointed. I should not be feeling this way after a unification match for the biggest WrestleMania match of all time. This wasn't the biggest WrestleMania match of all time. It wasn't. And it definitely wasn't the best. It was one of the more disappointing main events that we've seen. Legitimately, I might do this. I might go back and rewatch WrestleMania 34 just to see how similar the match was. Because I really felt like it felt like a rinse and repeat. It really felt like they copied and pasted. I would love to know what went on behind the scenes in the planning for this match. I really want to do, because seriously, for someone Roman that is going on doing all this media stuff, talking about how he's greatness on a different level and all that, right? You think he would be aware of what people have been saying about him, especially with his history with Brock Lesnar. You think going into WrestleMania and one of the biggest matches of all time, you think that, they would go back And they would look at what they did in the past and feel like, oh, what can we do differently? Because this is WrestleMania. This is what the GOATs do. This is why, I talk so highly about Sasha Banks, right? This is why I talk so highly of people like Shawn Michaels. When you are a main event top star, you always deliver in the brightest moments. And then you think about it is John Cena. Think about that. John Cena at WrestleMania, all the times he main evented, he always brought it to another level. That's the reason why he was called Big Time John. And that Big Time Becky Lynch nickname, I hate it, right? Because it's just propaganda. Cena never went around calling himself Big Match John. It was a nickname that he earned, and it became part of his character because that's the way he was. Cena always delivered in the biggest moments. That's why he's one of the greatest of all time. You can make Roman champion for as long as you want. I will never view him as the GOAT. No, I'm not saying he's not great, right? He's on an unbelievable run. But these are the moments. Tonight is one of the moments where I see, and this is why I say, this is why Roman will not be in the conversation of greatest of all time. When it could talk about The Rock and Stone Cold Steve Austin and Shawn Michaels and John Cena. Because he doesn't elevate in those moments. Roman has great matches all the time. He does. And he's had some fantastic matches in this reign. I'm not saying that. But the thing is, Reigns has got into a point where he's been champion so long and he's not doing anything different. It's stale. And it's just the same old stuff. WWE's not doing anything to make Roman any different. They're just doing the same thing every single week. And it's getting to the point where people don't want to see it anymore. Maybe if you had taken the title off Roman and you given us some time, right? To have him do some different things, maybe you could go back to this. But Roman's been doing the same thing throughout his entire reign. And at this point, it's just stale. And it's just disappointing. I'm sorry, man. It's something I think people need to get through their thick heads. It really is. And that match tonight was a testament. You spent all this time building up the Roman and Brock just to give us a disappointment. At the overall grand scheme of things, WrestleMania as a whole was fantastic. The weekend was spectacular. Right, and I'm really glad that they're sticking with this 2-night format because it helps the show so much, like more than you'll ever believe. But at the end of the day, people are going to look back at this main event and they're going to be disappointed. I think the legacy of this show and Roman Reigns, right, is going to be hurt a little bit because of the disappointment of that main event tonight. And the thing about it is, I wasn't surprised at it because I had been saying it for weeks. I was hoping. And I see, I saw someone tweet right here. Danny Geekdom 101, he says right here, a lot of people seem to think Roman may have been legit hurt and the finish was changed. I don't know, but it's possible. Specifically since last year's main event was so much better and not nearly as hyped up. It sucks for all involved that is what happened. Otherwise, match blew. Here's the thing, yes, so if you notice, right, if you're watching at home, you notice after Roman got out of the Kimura lock, he's talking to Paul Heyman, and he's talking about his shoulder was separated, right? And he was just telling Heyman, it's out. And I don't know if that was legit or not. It definitely looked like Roman was injured, right? And I don't know if that was planned, part of that story or legit. I will say this, as someone who has suffered from shoulder injuries in the past, I definitely know what Roman was going through. I've dislocated my shoulder playing sports in high school, and I've never had it fixed. My right shoulder right here, it bothers me to this day, and I've done it so many times where my shoulder's popped out and I've popped it back in myself, and it is painful. After you pop it back in, it feels normal again, but you feel a huge amount of soreness for a couple of days, and it never feels right. I hope one day I do get it fixed, but I haven't gotten it fixed for personal reasons, which I won't go into. So having a dislocated shoulder sucks. So I definitely, if Roman really did separate it, then I feel for him. But you know, um, but still, and I don't know if Roman, if they did have to change the finish for the match. I don't. But even still at that point, the match was already more than 10 minutes in. If anybody watching the chat, if you could, please give me like a time for how long that match was. I don't think it was less than 15 minutes, right? It felt like about 13 minutes or so. I didn't have a stopwatch, but that's what it felt like. It was pretty short. So even if Roman's got injured at that point, you were already pretty deep into the match, and they weren't doing anything special. They weren't doing anything crazy. It was legitimately just spears, suplexes, Superman punches, all that stuff that we've seen from Roman in the past, Roman and Lesnar in the past. So it wasn't like they were doing anything crazy at that point. So even if the match had to end a little bit early because Roman was injured, they weren't doing anything special. The match blew. It was a terrible main event in my opinion. So like I don't know what the hell people are saying, like if Roman was injured, I understand that, but I'm not giving them a pass. Casey says it was 12 minutes 15 seconds. It was barely over 10 minutes. Holy moly! I think the tag team match, the Fatal 4-Way tag team match, was just around that time. So I'm sorry, that was disappointment. That was a disappointment. I'm not giving them a pass for that. And yes, you see, when Roman was holding out both titles, he was having trouble holding up his other arm. It looked like he had to force it back into his socket. Because I saw when he was lifting up, it was like this, and then he kind of had to force it up. So I think he forced his shoulder back in at that time. Because I've done that personally. I know that from experience. But still, I'm not giving them a pass if Roman was injured. It was a disappointment. There was no blood. There was nothing. It was a disappointment. And I'm sorry. Brock, Roman, Heyman, that was bad. For all the time you spent building up this match, all the marketing and all the people that had to have their storyline changed because of Brock and Roman, that was a disappointment. And I'm sorry, But in the grand scheme of things, WrestleMania was enjoyable, right? WrestleMania Night 2 was pretty good. I don't know if it was better than Night 1, but still, definitely it was a enjoyable show. And now, like I said, they have to keep the 2-night format going forward. I know next year at Hollywood, which is going to be crazy. It's going to be wild. They're going to have 2 nights of WrestleMania again next year. Those ticket prices are going to be insane because it's California. It's not Texas, but it's going to be interesting, man. There was no Rock. A lot of people are hoping The Rock would show up at the end of the show, and then, they would start a 1-year build for Rock and Roman next year. The Rock didn't show up, right? Because after the match, Roman didn't really spend too much time in the ring. They showed the highlights. He got out of there. He was in the halfway up the ramp, and that was the end of the show. So no Rock at all. It would have been fantastic, but no Rock. So we don't know if Rock and Roman will happen. It's still 1 year away, and there's plenty of time to build up to it. And everyone knows, of course, that's a dream match. Us getting Stone Cold Steve Austin both nights of Mania this year was insane. And of course, having The Rock next year and potentially wrestle his last match, that would be great. But we don't know. Until we see Rock show up to start a program with Roman, I'm not going to believe it. Who knows? Maybe The Rock shows up on SmackDown this weekend or this week. I doubt it, but you never know. But no Rock. But still, WrestleMania was pretty damn enjoyable. They got to keep the 2-night format. So let me get my notes from Bleacher Report really quick. Right. And I forgot to do the intro because I was going, I remember I started the stream right at the end of the Roman and Lesnar match. But yo, what's going on, everybody? It is your boy Fitz TV here, AKG Lauren 33. I am back here today with another episode of the Legit Shoot podcast. Here tonight with your WWE WrestleMania 38 Night 2 review / reaction. Thank you guys so very much for joining me here on the podcast. I hope you guys had a great weekend. I hope you guys enjoyed WrestleMania for what it's worth. And yes, thank you guys for joining me. Thank you to everyone who live tweeted with me on Twitter this past weekend, man. Lots of tweets, lots of engagement, lots of fun stuff to talk about. But yeah, if you guys haven't already, the night 1 review / reaction for WrestleMania is live on the channel. So right after watching this, go back and watch night 1 review / reaction. We talked everything from Cody Rhodes to Seth Rollins to Stone Cold Steve Austin wrestling again to Bianca, the Becky, Charlotte, the Ronda, all of it. So go back and go watch it if you haven't already. But yes, we're gonna talk about night 2. And yeah, let's not waste any real time. Like I said, man, as disappointing as the main event was, this was an enjoyable show. And let me look. I'm gonna look through the chat real quick, see if there's anything. Like I said, super chats are open. I don't ask you guys to donate. I let you guys make the decision on that. But everything that is invested into, or everything that is given and donated to the channel, I reinvest into it, getting things better. So yeah, but I'm looking through the chat. We'll talk about Sasha Banks here in a little bit, don't you worry. Chris says it wasn't the best main event in Mania. Plus, it was not the biggest Mania. It the same shit we saw at WrestleMania 31, 34. We're right. And Manger, what did Manger say? John Cena low-key carried in SummerSlam against Roman, thinking about it. Roy Nason said, I would agree with you to that extent if Cena didn't let Roman look dominant during the match. Well, yeah, I agree. If you go back to their SummerSlam match between Cena and Roman, Cena basically wanted to make Roman look dominant. Roman dominated that match. Like, Cena got his stuff in, and it was a fantastic match. It was enjoyable, right? As long as you try to ignore Cena's massive bald spot in the back of his head. Cena versus Roman was enjoyable. It was, but Roman was dominant for like 75% of the match. Roman's not going to Hollywood right now, Mr. Zone. Like, I don't think, like, why would he? As long as WWE wants Roman to be champion, he's not going to Hollywood. Like, I don't see it happening. Roman should not be champion anymore. I definitely think, it's the Reigns championship run has run its course, but clearly it has it in the eyes of Vince and the rest of that company. Clearly. Like, here we are. 1 year ago, Roman was stood tall with the Universal Championship at the end of night 2 of WrestleMania in Tampa. 1 year later, here we are again. Roman's now standing in the main event of WrestleMania again with both the WWE and Universal titles. Like, come on. Like, clearly they're not going, Roman's not going anywhere. But anyway, and Tiandre, man, stop repeating that stuff. AJ and Edge was not disappointing. Was it better than Cody and Seth? No. But Edge and Styles was a fantastic match. I don't know what you're saying. I don't know what you were expecting, because I got almost everything I expected from that match. Near falls, great wrestling storytelling. I don't know what to tell you. So you could keep repeating that, Edge and Styles was disappointing, but it wasn't in my eyes. Like, I don't know what to tell you. Like, shit. AJ Styles and Edge was a top 3 match this weekend. If you had expectations thinking that Styles and Edge was going to be better than Cody and Seth, then you were just setting the bar a little bit too high. But it was a fantastic match. And Tokyo, why are you saying that you're done with 2 nights of Mania? WWE needs to end it. Why? Having a 2-night WrestleMania was one of the best ideas WWE's ever had. You realize if without WWE doing 2 nights of WrestleMania, right? Without WWE doing 2 nights of WrestleMania, that would have ended up being a freaking 8-hour show. An 8-hour show on a normal Mania. And do you guys remember how long some of the WrestleManias in the past was? Like, no. New Japan does multiple nights of Wrestle Kingdom. What's the problem with them having multiple nights of WrestleMania? Like, this was one of the best ideas they've ever had. The crowd doesn't get fatigued. The crowd, you want a crowd sitting there for nearly 10 hours in an arena? Nobody wants that. Hell no. And just don't know. WWE shouldn't end the 2 nights of WrestleMania with that huge a roster too. It helps every match get more time. You think some of those matches tonight that we saw this past weekend, do you think they get, some of the time they do if it's like one night of Mania? No. Hell no. So I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear it, man. So for those of you guys saying, oh, WWE needs to end the 2-night Mania, I'm sorry, you're wrong and you're dumb. And I don't like saying that, but no. Like, come on. I hate dumb stuff like that. So I got the notes up from Bleacher Report. Right? I am a little bit curious on what the Bleacher Report think of the main event. I swear if I see anything above B, I'm gonna lose my shit. Mm. So Bleacher Report gave the match a B minus. So Bleacher Report said Reigns and Lesnar delivered the big fight, heavy hitting battle you would hope for, but the suddenness of the finish, preceded by an ugly spear spot, put a damper on the proceedings. Reigns escaping the F5 and delivering the spear to win came from out of nowhere, felt anticlimactic. The feud, the competitors, and the audience deserve something a bit more emphatic and definite than that. If there is a silver lining, it is that the right guy went over and Reigns finally has his defining WrestleMania moment. Something both he and WWE have chased for years. What the fuck is Bleacher Report saying? What are you... Huh? Oh my gosh. No. No, man. What do you mean? The WrestleMania moment Reigns... What? What are you talking about? How many... Roman's had more coordinations and WrestleMania moments than anybody in the company, anybody in history. This is why I can't stand Bleacher Report sometimes. They come off as like corporate shields. Like, what the hell are these people saying? Oh, Roman gets his defining WrestleMania moment, something both he and WWE have chased for years. What? Roman has more WrestleMania moments than that. He beat The Undertaker at WrestleMania, right? At WrestleMania 33. He beat Triple H for the WWE Championship at WrestleMania 32 in the main event, right? WrestleMania 35, he beat Drew McIntyre. WrestleMania, he didn't compete at WrestleMania 36. Last year at WrestleMania 37, he pinned two people at the same time. What are you talking about, defining WrestleMania moment? Like, I understand, yeah, he gets his win back against Lesnar, but people acting like, oh, he gets his defining WrestleMania moment where he did the 3 or 4 WrestleMania moments before that. Are we just forgetting about them? Like, what the hell are people talking about? Roman's had more WrestleMania moments than anybody. These people at Bleacher Report pissing me off, man. Like, for real. This is coming off as dumb as hell. And Dreaming Nick's talking about, can I talk about the women's match? We'll get to the women's match when we get to the women's match. All right? I just hate. Manger says, I feel like Roman ruined Cesaro's moment when he had the chance of taking the title a while back. Well, it doesn't matter anyway because Cesaro left WWE. Like, look. Like, look at Kevin Owens stayed in WWE. He resigned, and Kevin Owens had a defining WrestleMania moment last night with Stone Cold Steve Austin. Like, at the end of the day, Cesaro left. So, it's whatever. And thing about it is, with the way Cesaro was on the mic, I didn't really feel bad that he, lost the Roman. Like, come on. Jeez, man. Anyway, yeah, but let's talk about the rest of this card, man. I don't want to spend all night talking about Roman and Brock. But anyway, let's get into it. So, the show kicked off actually with Triple H. So Triple H came out and he had an electric entrance, man. I love Triple H's theme. It's the game, one of the best WWE themes ever, right? He had the suit on and everything, but he made an electric entrance. The crowd popped. It was great to see Triple H, especially after everything with all the health struggles he's had in the last year. To see him be able to make that entrance was fantastic. And you knew it was going to be a special moment because he wasn't scheduled. We know that Triple H is retired now, right? So Triple H came out. He didn't cut a long promo. All he said is he wanted to show the same respect to them that they had showed him throughout his career. And he left his boots in the ring, basically marking how this was his retirement, right? Because, we heard last week when Triple H got interviewed by Stephen A. Smith on Stephen A's World that he was retiring because of his medical conditions, right? And, it sucked because we didn't get to see Triple H end his career on his terms, really, right? To get that last, retirement match, right? I feel like having that match with Cody Rhodes would have been it, especially now that Cody's back in WWE. But still, Triple H has had a fantastic WWE career. And, seeing him, get to have that moment of putting his boots in the ring was fantastic to see. It was very, very emotional, and he's going to be missed. When you think of Triple H, you think of, passion, emotion. There's very, very few people that have what Triple H has for this business. The emotion he brings to work, the passion he brings to work, the heart, the love. There's very, very, very few people, that has what Triple H has. And even still, with everything that's happened with NXT the last year, and, Vince taking that from Triple H and all that, for Triple H to still be around and still love what he does, man, it's something. It's admirable. So I'm happy that Triple H at least got to have that moment tonight there in that stadium, man. Definitely, I expect next year Triple H to probably go into the Hall of Fame like he deserves. And, definitely he will be missed. It's sad that we probably will never see Triple H deliver another pedigree, right? Or another sledgehammer or a spine buster or anything like that. But still, it was an honor to get to watch him. Definitely, I'm happy he got to have that moment tonight, the open up night 2 of WrestleMania. Very, very special. Someone texted me, were you happy that Sasha won? We'll get to Sasha in a little bit. I asked this guy, Geekdom 101, were you happy that I was right about Roman and Brock? And he responds saying, were you happy that Sasha won? Which is hilarious. But anyway, yes, so it was great to see Roman, or not, it was great to see Triple H get that moment to start the show. And then oh my gosh, I keep looking in the chat and I see so many stupid shit, people. So, whatever your name is with all the letters, you see, just because he has moments already, mean he can't have another. That's not the point. No one's saying Roman can have another WrestleMania moment. But the point is, you have Bleacher Report saying this is his defining WrestleMania moment. You're telling me he hasn't had defining WrestleMania moments in the past? When he beat Undertaker in the main event, when he beat Triple H in the main event, when he pinned 2 people at the same time in the main event? That's what I'm talking about. My problem wasn't that Roman won. That's not what I'm talking about. But people acting like was his defining WrestleMania moment when he hasn't had 3 or 4 defining WrestleMania moments already. Shit, man. Some of you guys just hear something and you don't listen. You don't analyze it and get the right context. You'll just say some dumb crap. Oh my gosh. People, oh my gosh. People tell me, oh yes, people tell me I'm looking all. It's pissing me off because people are I'm texting my boy right now, Geek the 101, because we're friends. And he's telling me, oh, I can't say that Roman and Brock was a shit match because we don't know if Roman getting injured changed the complexity. What? It doesn't matter to me. The match was crap. They spent 10, 12 minutes before just doing finishers. Like, damn, and I know I'm not paying attention too much to the stream, and I pay attention, but damn, like, I'm not gonna let this guy just say this. Come on! I'm sorry, man. Like, damn, I'm legit texting this guy while I'm on stream, and I'm just like, crap. But anyway, so the show opened up after Triple H's retirement, or whatever you want to. Yes, we'll call it Triple H's retirement, right? Anyway, 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 But yeah, the show started off with the this is hilarious. Finlay says, I have a feeling Seth is gonna go for the championships. Dude, everybody's gonna go for the championships. Like, Drew's gonna go after them, Lashley's gonna go after them, Seth's gonna go after them. Doesn't matter at the end of the day. Like, so that's not really a hot take. I like that quote back. Force agendas always undelivered. I like that. That's a cool ass quote right there. I fuck with that. Anyway, so yes, let me try to get back on topic here. So the first match was the Raw Tag Team Championship match. Street Profits versus Alpha Academy versus RK Bro. This was actually my prediction to start off night 2, because you know how over RK Bro is, and they showed that in this match. Like, RK Bro is over on a whole nother level, and you know they are absolutely fantastic, man. I love this. Plus Alpha Academy here, you know, it's great to see how they've gotten over as a heel team. Like, they have. Like, there was signs in the crowd of people doing the shoosh stuff from Chad Gable with that's great. That's great, man. The fact that people are embracing the Alpha Academy gimmick and them as a team, and Chad Gable. You know, Gable is great as a heel, and of course the Street Profits, they were there bringing the chemistry and the high flyingness. You know, I thought, you know, they were building up to the Street Profits turning heel, but it looks like at least that's not happening yet, right? But I still think I would not be surprised if on Raw tomorrow the Street Profits turn heel and attack RK Bro. But still, this was a fantastic triple threat match to start the show. This was great. You know, it was high energy, high impact. The crowd was into it. The match got really good once Orton made his hot tag, of course, because the crowd loves the Orton hot tags for some reason. And the best thing was, of course, the finish. So you knew that if RK Bro was winning, they were going to do a crazy RKO spot. Well, they did too. They did too. Chad Gable did a OMG RKO moment from the top rope. And Montez Ford sold it perfectly. So a flying RKO from the top rope from Matt Riddle which was fantastic. One of the best RKOs I've ever seen. Then our Chad Gable went for a flying headbutt from the top of the rope from the other side of the ring, and Orton caught him. That's something we've seen a lot, but still, it's always great and awesome to see Randy Orton with the OMG RKO. And then RK Bro was able to retain by getting the pin. 1, 2, 3. I kind of said that maybe they should have saved RK Bro regaining the titles for tonight at WrestleMania, but still, them retaining would have been just as loud as them regaining the titles, and it was great. It was awesome. So after the match, the Street Profits came back in the ring. They had these solo cups. This guy geeked him to the laughing. Ah. Anyway, I gotta pay attention to the stream because this guy keeps texting me about Roman and Brock, and it's just like, oh my gosh. It's getting me. But after the match, the Street Profits, I got this scar on my arm that I don't get. But after the match, the Street Profits came into the ring, and I thought this was going to be the moment when they turned heel. But instead, they offered, good sportsmanship. They offered the red solo cups to the RK Bro, like a toast, right? And then all of a sudden, they invited Gable Steveson, who was at ringside, into the ring. If remember on night 1, Stephanie McMahon, they brought Gabe Steveson out, right? But he didn't get much of a reaction. And the same thing was tonight. They are really, really, really high on Gable Steveson. It's actually kind of ridiculous how high they are on this guy. But they brought Gable Steveson into the ring, right, to join in on the toast. But then Chad Gable knocked the red solo cup out of Stevenson's hand, right? And then he cut a promo on Stevenson saying, "Oh, you're a rookie here. You got a lot to learn," right? And then he cut Stevenson off because Stevenson was going to cut a promo. But then Stevenson grabbed Gable and gave him a overhead belly-to-belly suplex. That was it, right? And then, Stevenson did the toast with RK Bro and the Street Profits. Like I said, I'm not high on Stevenson or Steve Sin. I'm saying his name incorrectly. But, it's because, I need to see him in the ring. I know he has a lot to learn. And yes, I understand that you're high on him. He's an Olympian and all this other stuff. But until we see him in the ring and we see him start to develop, right? It doesn't matter how many times you showcase him. Until you get him in the ring and he starts to develop a character and he starts to develop some ring skill, it's not going to mean anything. It's not going to mean anything. That's why the crowd is not reacting to him, super positively. They don't know him. You can't just expect this guy just to appear and then him just to magically be a star. You have to build him up. You got to develop him. Yes, the over the head, the belly to belly suplex he gave Stevenson was right. Or the belly to belly suplex he gave Gable was nice, but that was it. It was one move. Get in the ring, develop, and then let's see where it goes from here. That's my thing. Until you do that, nobody's gonna give a shit about Gable Stevenson. Nobody's gonna care. Huh. Thank you, Danny. And I'm glad you're here, Danny, because I'm texting you and I keep stopping the stream to text you. But I'll just respond to you here, right? If anything, I wish I could get on Discord. I could bring Geekdom in live on the channel. We could talk about this live, But Danny says, I don't get why you're so happy to be right about a possible legit injury or a match being bad. Don't you want the shit to be good? Come on. Here's my thing. I was never high on Roman and Brock to begin with. I've been sitting here saying this for months. I never wanted this as my main event for Mania. I never wanted this. I never cared about them merging the titles because I knew it was to elevate Roman at the end of the day. My only hope is that the match would deliver. That's it. That's it. And the match didn't. And I didn't really expect the match to because I've seen Roman and Brock so many times that this is what they do. Even if they had made the match a little bloody, right? Remember, their match at WrestleMania 34 was bloody and it sucked. So, I'm not trying to sit here saying that I'm right just to be right. I don't like being that guy. But I legit said for months that I'm not hyped for Brock and Roman because they're doing it to elevate Roman, not to tell a story. They're doing it because they want to elevate Roman and give him another crowning moment at WrestleMania. That's my thoughts about it. So I'm sorry, but it's not that I want to be right. It's because I had a feeling this was going to happen. I tweeted out before the match, Brock and Roman has to deliver. Good is not going to be good enough. It just has to be great for all the hype, for all the build you give it. You legitimately spent all of WrestleMania weekend and all of the road to WrestleMania building towards this match. Everything you did from day one to the Royal Rumble to the Elimination Chamber. Everything you did with the WWE Championship and the universe. Everything you did led to tonight. And it ended up being a disappointment. So I'm not happy that I'm right, but I'm going to let you know that I was right because I said this from the start. I never wanted Brock and Roman to begin with. And I was hoping maybe they would prove me wrong, but they didn't. And I'm not going to sit here and not say that I didn't say this was potentially coming. So that's what I would say in response to you, Geekdom, if you're still in the chat. But yeah. So if you have a response to that, let me know. Or let me know if I need to text you again live on stream. I'm texting Danny right now just to make sure he heard what I said. Anyway, okay, I'll let you know if Danny responds again and we have to go back on this topic, but we'll continue with the stream for right now. Anyway, moving on after that, we had Bobby Lashley versus Almas, right? Remember, Lashley's one of those guys that had his WrestleMania plans significantly changed, right? Because he did get injured at the Elimination Chamber, plus Brock and Roman. So, if Lashley never got injured and if Brock and Roman was never the plan at Mania, who knows? It could have potentially been Lashley walking out tonight as WWE champion. Who knows? But Lashley, he came back last week to start this feud with Almas, right? Now that I think it, what's crazy is I was 100% on all of my WrestleMania predictions. The only prediction I got wrong was Charlotte and Ronda. That was it. I got every single match correct. I'm not a sports gambler. I don't do DraftKings or all of that other stuff. But if there was a weekend, I probably should have done it. It would have been this weekend because I probably could have made some good money. But anyway, that's it. But still, so Bobby Lashley and Almas, right? Remember, What's crazy is, remember, there was a time where people thought that Bobby Lashley and Almas was going to be anyway, because Danny still texting me. But yeah, remember, there was a time where people thought, but remember, there was a time where people said that Bobby Lashley and Almas was gonna be a WWE Championship match at WrestleMania. You stupid idiots, man. The fact that people actually wanted that match and wanted Almas in the WWE title picture, some of you guys are absolutely shameful. I'm sorry. The fact that you were vouching for that crock of shit, really, holy moly. Thank God we never got that. Thank God we never got Almas and Lash for the WWE Championship. Because if that ever did happen, the match you saw tonight with Lashley and Almas would have been that match. Almas does not belong anywhere near any title, let alone the WWE title. Like hell. Like oh my God, it's like hell. I don't know. I don't know what people were thinking when they made those ridiculous takes, because Almas sucked. He legitimately sucks. 1 year later, think about it like this, guys. 1 year later, 1 year ago, Almas won the Raw Tag Team titles with AJ Styles against the New Day at Mania last year, right? This year, 1 year later, Lashley's going up against Almas, right? And Almas has legitimately not changed at all. He's the same exact wrestler. His moveset hasn't changed at all, and he hasn't gotten any better. Like, Almas is horrific in the ring. Awful. Almas almost, injured Lashley in this match. I tweeted this out. I would not be surprised if Lashley suffered a concussion. Seriously. Because there was a point in this match where Lashley, or Almas picked up Lashley and drove him in the corner, and they showed on replay twice. Lashley's head went back and hit the top of the steel ring post, or the LED ring post. And those things are hard, man. You can get a concussion from those things. I did not know how Lashley finished the match, because he did look a little bit wonky afterwards. But this match was, though the match was not that good. Not that good. And of course, I see Bleacher Report, they gave the match a D. So for once, me and Bleacher Report are on the same page. Like, damn. Like, like almost sucks, man. He's terrible. Get him off TV for real. Like, you've done this but still, holy shit. This almost suck. Like, damn, I really hope the Almas experience is over now. I hope the experiment's over. You wasted the last year on it, and he's not getting any better. Like, get him off TV. For real. Enough. Enough's enough. Like, so, like, afterwards, lastly, he did a beautiful suplex on Almas, and then he was able to spear him to get the victory. He wasn't able to get the hurt lock on him, but he was able to do the spear, and that was enough to get Lashley the victory. I did like Lashley's attire too. He had the nice black and red combo, which I love, though, that color scheme. Black and red, those are my two favorite colors. and Lashley was able to get the win. I also forgot to mention that Lashley had a pretty cool entrance. They had Lashley on a little bit of a pedestal doing his normal pose, which was pretty cool. So yeah, what's to be next for Amos? He should be on the unemployment line. If anything, he needs to go. What's to be next for Lashley? Well, I can definitely see him going after Roman for those two titles. I honestly think I would not be surprised if at WrestleMania Backlash in about a month, if it's Roman versus Lashley versus McIntyre. I really think that's a strong possibility because McIntyre needs to get back in the title scene, and Lashley he's gonna go back for that title. It's coming because Lashley's gonna say I never lost my title because he never did lose the title. He wasn't pinned at Elimination Chamber because he was injured. So definitely, I think what's next, Lashley's probably gonna go after Roman, and that's one of the only fresh matches left for Roman in terms of the main event scene because Roman's beaten everybody at this point, right? But still, that's what I think what's next for Lashley, and I'm here for it. I'm excited for it, and we'll just have to see what happens. But in terms of Almas, man, get him off the screen, and let's not see him again, please. Thank you very much. And yes, Chris, it was kind of a given that Lashley was gonna win. If Almas had won, holy shit, would that have been bad? Uh, what was next after this? Next up, yes, anything goes match. Johnny Knoxville, Sami Zayn. I will say this: you guys know my thoughts about the whole WrestleMania card, right? In general, and going into it. But I will, if I'm being honest, this match had no business being as fun and entertaining as it was. You know, like thank God it wasn't for the IC title, but still, this match had no business being as fun as it was. This was funny as hell. This was so much fun. Yes, it was a little bit embarrassing for Sami Zayn, but he sold it perfectly, right? And this is like the definition of sports entertainment in WWE, man. This was hilarious with Knoxville and Sami Zayn. Right? There was so much that happened. At the beginning of the match, I believe Zayn hit Knoxville with a haluva kick out of nowhere. But he didn't pin him. He decided to go just punish him. There was stop signs used. There was chairs. There was a table with mouse traps. There was hand slaps. Right. There was freaking bowling balls used. There was a nut kicker. Right. If you that's what you call it, like the boot that kicked the Zayn in the nuts. There was Wee Man. There was so much that happened, and this was just fun as hell, right? Very very fun, and the crowd was into it, which made it better. Um, we saw Chris Pontius and Wee Man. Chris Pontius coming out, dancing naked or nearly naked, on Sami Zayn was hilarious. Then Wee Man, coming in and then body slamming Zayn, which was hilarious. And then Knoxville used a taser, a bowling ball, a mouse trap covering table, a giant mouse trap to trap. Uh, yeah, this was fun. There was a, and then yeah, near the end they trapped Zayn under a giant mousetrap to get the pin. But but um yeah, like I said, this was fun as hell for Knoxville and Zayn. Yeah, I gotta give Zayn credit, because he's allowed himself to be embarrassed a lot throughout this feud, right? Like he's been embarrassed a lot in this feud. And then we all remember when Zayn got his phone number leaked. I still have it on my phone. I still have it. Maybe we should call Zayn. I don't know if he's got his number changed. But still, you know, Zayn's allowed himself to get embarrassed throughout this feud, and still he's still here. And like, I gotta give him credit. It takes a lot to allow yourself to be embarrassed on TV like that. But I'm glad that it's over, right? Even though it was pretty cringy, there was a lot of cringiness throughout the feud. The match itself tonight was fun. And usually at WrestleMania, you have one of these fun, wacky matches, and this was it. And it was cool to see. So Knoxville gets the win. In one of the more crazy or funny WrestleMania matches ever. And that was that. You guys are going ham in the chat tonight, huh? I see Casey. Casey says, I thought it was not funny because I'm not into Jackass. It made me embarrassed watching it as a wrestling fan. Comedy is all subjective, but if people thought it was funny and liked it, fine. I don't get it. But it's completely understandable. Completely understandable, right? For me personally, yes, I like most of my wrestling to be serious, but this is WWE. Of course, there's going to be a little bit of wacky entertainment, right? And for the most part, this was fine. If this was for the IC title, right, then I would be, bitching and moaning a little bit more. But this was, a non-title match, and they had been building up to this for a couple months now, and for the most part, it delivered. It delivered. WWE, they're known for sports entertainment, right? Yet when you see something like this in AEW, probably not. But it's still, this is WWE. They've been doing this type of stuff for years. And originally, I didn't care about it, but at the end of the day, the match did its job. I can't sit here and not say that it did. Of course, the Young Bucks are talking shit on Twitter. Of course, they are. Hold on, maybe let's see if we could give what's his name, Sami Zayn, a call right now. I doubt. I will bet at this point Sami Zayn had to get his number changed. But I'm not going to put his number on the screen. But let's see. Mailbox is full because everyone texts him. So yes, Sami Zayn's number is still in service. I just sent a text saying great match tonight. Hasn't been delivered yet, but there we go. Um. Oh, Purple Bond saying, one of my boys from Discord. He said, I know you're happy that Sasha won the tag titles tonight, making her Naomi the first African American woman to win tag titles. That's awesome. Thanks for, first off, bro. Thanks for the super chat, man. Awesome, like I appreciate that. And yes, we'll talk about Sasha. We'll go ham in on Sasha in just a second, man. Just a second. Give me some time. But does anybody know what's going on with the Young Bucks on Twitter? Like, so Danny sent me this thing, the Young Bucks, the story of a couple self-made SoCal kids who came from nothing and built a gigantic movement, was never going to be romantic enough for you. Oh my gosh. And then JDE puts in the super chat as well. I owe you one. LOL. I got you more next time. Uh, guys, you guys don't owe me anything. Like, I appreciate the super chats, but don't think you owe me. Like, well, you don't owe me nothing. You know what I mean? You know, I am the tribal chief of the wrestling podcast community, but still. But still, I do appreciate the super chat. Like, for real. Definitely, that is very, very appreciated. But I guess the Young Bucks and their beef is with Cody. Because Cody wrote wrestling is a love story. And the Young Bucks, says the story of a couple self-made SoCal kids who came from nothing, but a gigantic move was never going to be romantic enough for you. Yeah, because the Young Bucks are salty, right? That Cody's in WWE. Yeah, grow the fuck up. I can't stand them. And before we get to the tag team match, because I know that's what you guys want me to talk about, right? Because this is a pro Sasha Banks channel. I wanted, because Danny still texts me, and when I talk about Sasha, I want to be 100%. But we'll get to the Fatal 4-Way tag team match in just a little bit. I want to talk about Edge and Styles first, just because I want to be focused. Yes, and remember, I know Tiandre said earlier that Roman versus not Roman, Styles versus Edge sucked. What the hell are you talking about? What are you talking about? Styles versus Edge sucked. It was one of the best matches of the weekend. It probably was the best match on this card. So, like, what the hell are you talking about? Oh, Styles versus Edge sucked. Because Styles and Edge been a little bit better. Yeah, of course. There was a little bit of sloppiness here and there, right? But for the most part, the match delivered. Yes, I thought Styles and Edge could give you a match of your candidate, and this probably won't be there, right? Styles and, or Rollins and Edge probably had a couple, their matches were probably better than this one. But the feud's not over. And this was worthy of being on WrestleMania. This was a good match. Very enjoyable. Very, very enjoyable. It was nowhere near Cody and Seth from last night, but that, like, Cody and Seth was a near 5-star match in my eyes. So, like, it's gonna be kind of hard to get to a 5-star match level. But so what I will say here is Edge is a fantastic heel. He's a fantastic heel, man. But I do miss his old theme. That was, so Styles came out, right? Styles and Edge had a fantastic video package. So then Styles came out first, and there was a cut on Styles' side of his face, and that the camera kept zooming in on. And it was revealed basically that Styles cut himself during his entrance. You know, when he was walking out, his face kind of hit like the wall of the Titantron. So it just, it cut off the side of his face, you know. And some people were like, oh, this Styles pull Goldberg, because you know how Goldberg would hit his head, like headbutting doors and would, uh, that's how he would bloody himself up. But no, Styles got that cut from just hitting the Titantron. But yeah, Styles came out, and then Edge came out. You knew Edge was gonna get a crazy entrance. That's what he always seems to get at these big shows. He's now, and he played his new theme by Alter Bridge. Right, he had the freaking chair, with fire coming down under him, which was pretty awesome. Right, and it was awesome. The only thing I will say is I was just a little disappointed because I thought, maybe they do something where they combine Edge's old theme with this new theme, right? Maybe he comes out with the old theme and then he goes into the new theme, or maybe he starts out with the new theme or goes into the old theme, but he just came out to the new theme. And I'm just like, yes, his new theme is great, but his old theme is one of the best entrance themes of all time. And, not getting to hear that at WrestleMania with the pyro and the smoke, still, when Edge was a heel for all those years, right? When Edge was a heel for all those years, he still came out with that old theme. So, like, it was disappointing. If I was WWE, what I would have done is I would have had Edge come out to the old theme, and then after WrestleMania tonight, then I would have had him come out to this new theme. That's when I would have started it, But they had him come out to the old theme, it's still a really good song. I'm not saying that, but nothing's going to beat You Think You Know Me. Nothing's going to beat that. And, now that, who knows when's the next time we're going to hear that? Because I don't think Edge is going up, is leaving television anytime soon, right? So, I don't know. So, it may be a while till we hear You Think You Know Me again, but still. That was probably the only real disappointment I had with this, the match and the segment alone, but still. Anyway, the match here with Styles and Edge, it was hard hitting, right? It was really, really aggressive. Really, like they told a great story that, Styles wanted to get his hands on Edge, but Edge, being the crafty heel, was kind of able to use that to his advantage. He was able to use the anger and the emotion Styles had to his advantage, which was really cool. But still, this was pretty long. It may have been longer than Cody and Seth. Cody and Seth had like around what 21, 22 minutes. This match went around like close to 25. It may have been the longest, match of the weekend if you think about it. But anyway, this was pretty good. Styles near the end here, right? Styles, Edge hit an execution for a close fall. Styles hit a Styles clutch, which looked pretty good. That almost got him the win, but Edge kicked out of that. Right? Styles was going for the phenomenal forearm, but Damian Priest showed up out of nowhere at ringside, and he wasn't looking at Styles. He was more just stuck in a trance on Edge, and I knew right away what they were doing. And then Styles, that moment of hesitation, right, because of the distraction from Priest, allowed Edge to recover, and then Edge hit a beautiful spear in midair as Styles went for the phenomenal forearm to get the win. I could see the finish coming the second that Priest showed up at ringside. But Edge got the win, which I kind of knew was going to happen because sure, Styles has had his WrestleMania moments, right? This was more about having a great match and then putting over Edge as a heel. Because if Styles wins this match, all that stuff that Edge is talking about as a heel kind of goes up in smoke, So Edge kind of had to win this match. And, it was it was good to see. I also freaking loved Edge's attire. It reminded me so much of something that the Undertaker would wear, like the black and the purple. But still, it was really really cool. After the match, right, Damian Priest got in the ring with Edge, and then they just started laughing with one another. And it seems like now they are an alliance. And to me, I tweeted this out. Edge is on this more like superior speaking, right? He views his, but Edge left with Damian Priest, and like I said, I tweeted this out. Edge is probably like it's like he's starting a cult. If you guys remember from the Attitude Era, when the Undertaker had like the Ministry of Darkness, this is kind of what this is reminding me of, because Edge he thinks he's like superior to everybody now, right? With the way he talks, with the way he acts, his mannerisms, right? His entrance tonight with the fire and the dark theme, you know it really feels like Edge is like starting this cult, or this fraction or what faction it is, and I could see other people joining it, you know, and it becoming maybe something like a Ministry of Darkness. Edge has all these followers and all these superstars that follow him, and then it could make Edge, really, really dominant. I don't know where this is gonna go, but like I'm definitely very, very interested in it because Edge is great as a heel, and Priest, this does a lot for him because Damian Priest, he was great as a babyface, but for some reason the crowd never really fully accepted him. Right? They never fully accepted him, even though he was great as United States champion. And then you turned him heel a couple weeks ago against Finn Balor. And then, he wasn't doing anything else. He didn't have any match on the Mania card, anything. But now you putting him with Edge, a Hall of Famer, right? One of the greatest of all time. This could be huge for Damian Priest, especially now as a heel. You know, so we'll see what happens. I can see them adding other members to this union or whatever you want to call it in the coming weeks. Maybe they become a tag team and go in the tag team division, right? I could see definitely Edge and Priest going after RK Bro. It would give RK Bro another rival to have. Having more tag teams is always a good thing, especially with WWE's massive roster. But still, there's lots of things you can do with this Edge and Priest union now, and it will be interesting to see where they go with it. AJ Styles, AJ will be fine. The loss won't hurt him at all. Clearly, the feud's not over. Priest will just bring another element into it, and we'll just see where it goes. I definitely think we'll probably see a rematch with Edge and Styles. Could be at Backlash. Like, I think we could see a lot of rematches at Backlash, like Cody Rhodes and Seth, Styles and Edge. Like, who knows what happens with Roman. If Sasha's not in the SmackDown Women's title scene, they might do Charlotte and Rousey again, which I pray they don't, right? Becky and Bianca might have a rematch at Backlash for all we know. So Backlash could be setting up to be a lot of WrestleMania rematches, but we'll see. But still, very, very intrigued to see where they go with Edge, because I honestly thought maybe Edge was going to take a little bit of a break after WrestleMania, because I don't think Edge is full time, but maybe not, especially with this new union he has with Damian Priest. But definitely, I am interested to see where they go with this. This should definitely, definitely be interesting. Yeah, exactly. So Casey put the time things in the chat. Like I said, yeah, I knew, like, yeah, Edge and Styles felt longer. It felt more close to 25 minutes. So yeah. Ooh, that's a good idea. You with Styles and Balor versus Edge and Priest. I'm here for that. I like that idea. Yes, especially for the Raw after Mania. I feel like that would be that would be a great match to do. Hmm. I don't know. I guess Cody Rhodes and the Young Bucks are beefing now. Like they're in opposite companies. The Young Bucks are just petty that Cody left. Like, get over yourself. But yeah, check the chat real quick. We doing good. I'm still texting Danny. Oh man, he's not letting this go. I don't know. Did WWE post something? I want to see. Let me go on their Instagram page real quick. So, here's a quote Cody Rhodes on why he returned to WWE. In an interview with Variety, Cody Rhodes said his dream is to still do what his father, Dusty Rhodes, never did. Cody said he won't say it out loud for the fear of jinxing it, but Rhodes has his eyes set on the WWE Championship. Dusty fought for the title in 1977 at Madison Square Garden against Billy Graham for when it was the WWF title, but never won it. Oh, I do think Cody has a good chance of winning that title. Anyway. So yeah, let's talk about this. New Day and Sheamus. New Day versus Sheamus and Rich Holland. This was, with all intensive purposes, your pee break. This was your pee break, man. And I hate saying that because I love the New Day. You guys know this. I love Sheamus. I love the attitude he brings when he fights. But this was your pee break. Remember, this match originally got cut from night one of WrestleMania. And it got put over the night two. And seriously, you can kind of see why. They did not spend a lot of time on this match. This was less than 5 minutes. And I hate that because we all know how great the New Day is. We know how great Sheamus is. I love Pete Dunne, even though he's being called Butch now. But if this was the originally, I don't know if this was originally the plan for the match on if it was going to be on night one, but if this was always the plan, the match should have not done at been the match should have never been done at all. Seriously, it's kind of embarrassing for the New Day to get put like this. Remember, Kofi Kingston won the WWE Championship at WrestleMania a couple years ago. Sheamus has had WrestleMania moments, and yet you do this 5-minute nonsense. There was no need for this, to be put on the card at all. It was a waste of time. This was really your chance to go get food and use the bathroom, right? And this was more blink and you miss it. The only really good part about this was that the New Day came out wearing Big E attire, right? Kofi and Xavier came out wearing attire that was to honor Big E, right? It was supposed to be symbolic of the same attire Big E was wearing when he won the WWE Championship here in Boston at the TD Garden last fall, right? Which is really cool. Doing something for like that for Big E, especially when he wasn't able to be there because, of course, he injured his neck. That is love. That is brotherhood to the highest level. Like, the New Day, we've heard the stories. They've been together now for nearly a decade, and they really do love each other. Like, that's awesome. See them. It felt weird seeing, especially Kofi. It felt very weird seeing him in a singlet, right? But still, the fact that they came out in that attire dressed for Big E, that's fantastic. And that's true love right there. Really, true love. That was awesome. But the match itself was a waste of time. Really, it lasted only a couple minutes, right? It was really, really fast paced, but it wasn't that good. I forgot how the match ended. I'm trying to see. Yeah, so Holland did his finisher on Xavier Woods. He calls it the Northern Grit, and that was it. Red still has a lot to get better at. Like, I like the pairing of him, Sheamus, and Butch, right? I like it, but he has a lot to get better at. I'm not gonna, it's gonna be hard for me to get that visual of him injuring Big E because it was so sloppy. It's gonna take a while for it to get out of my head, to get that out of my head because it was disappointing. But that was this was really pretty much a waste of time, and I don't like that because I like most of these guys, but still, and Pete Dunne was actually kind of funny. I don't know if I'm ever gonna be able to get used to calling him Butch, but uh, you see, Pete Dunne he was basically like a rat. Like every second, as soon as the match ended, he's going after Xavier Woods, and then Sheamus and Rich had to basically use all their strength to hold him back, because he was just like he's like a dog, like he would not let loose. So I kind of like that, part of his character now that that he's relentless and is always wants to go after his opponents, but still, you got to develop him a little bit more. I'm gonna miss him being Pete Dunne because he was awesome in NXT, but I feel like with the right amount of development, maybe you can make this thing work. Maybe. I do like the trio of Dunn, Sheamus, and Butch. I just hope it's done correctly going forward. But in terms of the match itself, it was a waste of time, and honestly, probably would have been better off not being on night two. And I think it kind of hurt night two a little bit, right? But at the end of the day, it is what it is. Probably this feud's going to continue on SmackDown, and we'll see what happens. I don't know how long Big E's going to be out. I haven't heard any timetable about his return, but definitely will be good to get him back eventually. But yeah, this was kind of a waste of time, and definitely I hope you guys got to use this kind of as a pre-break. I hate saying this. I hate saying that about the New Day and Sheamus, but that's what it was, and yeah. Oh yeah, we are over 2,000 viewers combined on today's stream. So thank you to everybody, man. Thank you. Like, you guys are making the night two stream uh, way more popular than the night one stream, but still definitely. Thank you guys for being here so far, man. This is awesome. Definitely, we're ending WrestleMania weekend with a bang. Like I said, I just want to remind you guys I will be back here tomorrow night with your Raw after WrestleMania review as well. All right. Let's talk about Sasha Banks. All right. Let's get that. Let's do that because I know a lot of you guys have been asking about it. Right. The women's tag team fatal 4-way match. Right, for the women's tag team championship. Queen Zelina, Carmella versus Sasha Banks and Naomi versus Natalya and Shayna Baszler versus Rhea Ripley and Liv Morgan. You guys know my thoughts going into this match. I don't have to sit here and explain them to you because you guys have heard me say it 1,000 times, right? Sasha Banks should have been fighting for the SmackDown Women's Championship this weekend. No matter if it was 1-on-1 against Charlotte or in a triple threat with Charlotte, Ronda, and Sasha. Sasha deserved to be fighting for the SmackDown Women's Championship this weekend, and she did get done dirty. You know, she should have won the Royal Rumble, which should have led to tonight and her winning at WrestleMania. That's what should have originally happened. But that isn't what happened. We can't change the past. We can be pissed off about it all we want, right? But at the end of the day, that's not what happened. But finally, after tonight, finally, we can say that Sasha Banks won a WrestleMania match. Simple as that. Simple as that. Man, like, it feels good just to say that out loud. It didn't happen the way that we wanted it to. I will say, I will not lie. And I understand there's some people out there that, aren't satisfied, or, people that, aren't as excited. But at the end of the day, if you're a Sasha Banks fan, you need to be happy, that at least she got that monkey off her back. Because, you guys all know the last couple of years hearing, especially because, the first couple of years that Sasha lost at Mania, you didn't hear those things, right? Because it was early in Sasha's career, right? And it wasn't a big deal. It has become a much larger deal the last couple of years. People who made that ridiculous graphic of Sasha. Remember when they did the Undertaker photo shoot and Sasha was doing the Undertaker pose like this one? People making the graphic 0-5, 0-6. People already made 0-7 WrestleMania graphics in advance, right? And Sasha, being the best female wrestler in the world, as I have said so many times on this podcast, it was just despicable. I couldn't take it. I hate it. I had to deal with so many people getting on me last year for me going down the Mania when I was there for Mania and then watching Sasha lose to Bianca live. It was hard. I blocked a lot of people. I muted a lot of people because I just didn't want to hear it. As great as Sasha and Bianca was, it was hard still knowing that she was a loser at WrestleMania. I hated that. And, at least now we don't have to deal with that anymore, right? And just like we don't have to deal with hearing people talk about how Sasha can't retain a singles championship anymore. It's despicable that Sasha is as great as she is. I call her the best female wrestler ever. And it took her this long to get a WrestleMania victory. I will say this. Sasha, in my opinion, should have at least 3 WrestleMania victories. She should have won the triple threat with Charlotte and Becky at WrestleMania 32, right? I think she probably should have won that Battle Royal at WrestleMania 34, even though she should have never really been in the Battle Royal to begin with. The fact that she was not even on the card for that Mania makes no sense to me, right? And the last year against Bianca Belair. I still personally feel like Sasha should have won that match, but whatever. I'm not gonna sit here and argue about something that's already happened. But still, it should never have taken Sasha 7 fucking years, 7 fucking manias to get her first WrestleMania victory. Like, it's insane. That's a legend like her. It took her this long to reach the top of the mountain at Mania. She put so many people over throughout the years. So many people. It's actually crazy how many people she's put over. And then she's never been able to get that moment for herself. It's crazy to me, right? And I'm more than anything, I'm just happy for her. I'm happy for her to be a fan of hers and watch everything she does. I'm just happy that she no longer has to deal with people talking to her in interviews and people talking to her on social media saying how she's never won a Mania match, right? Because, on TV she might be able to, be above that because she's Sasha Banks and her name is above all the talk, right? But in private moments, who knows how Sasha was feeling? Because you look at the end of that match tonight, you used to see the joy and the emotion that Sasha had on her face to finally, say that she won a WrestleMania match. You could feel it. It felt real in that moment. And as a Sasha Banks fan, I'm just happy for her. And of course, this is not the way I scripted it. And I know that's not the way that many of us scripted it. Because for years, right, ever since last year's Mania, we talked all year how next year's Mania, Sasha should win the Women's Royal Rumble and should win in the main event of Mania. No matter if it's for the Raw or SmackDown Women's Championship. We spent all year talking about it, and we thought it was going to become a reality until WWE messed up and, and it was messed up that they picked Ronda Rousey over Sasha, right? And then you got that shit show with Rousey and Charlotte last night. It was bad, And I hate that Sasha got done dirty, but I'm happy that she at least got this moment tonight. Yes, I know a lot of people are going to be like, Sasha still needs to get that singles victory at Mania, and I completely agree. And, next year around this time, we don't know we don't know if Sasha will even be in the company because I believe Sasha's contract expires in 2023, right? We don't know what's good, what WrestleMania will look like a year from now, but but hopefully next year, no matter if it's against Trish Stratus, no matter if it's a one-on-one match against somebody else, right? Next year, Sasha does need to get that first singles victory. That's next. We chalked off the WrestleMania victory, but now it's about getting that first singles victory because it's ridiculous to me that Charlotte has 4, WrestleMania singles victories. Becky has what? Becky has 2 or 3 now, right? Bailey has like 2 now, and Sasha doesn't have any WrestleMania singles victories. I don't want to just say that about Sasha. I'll say that about Asuka too. The fact that both Sasha and Asuka, 2 of the best of their generation, and neither has a singles WrestleMania victory, that's crazy to me. Ridiculous. But still, I'm just happy that Sasha got that moment. And of course, also getting that moment with Naomi, somebody she has history with, somebody she has a personal connection with, right? I'm happy. I'm happy for Sasha. I'm happy for Naomi, right? Seeing that photo that Bianca Belair took, right, backstage. Everyone was talking about I need a picture of Bianca, Sasha, and Naomi, and we got it. Bianca posted and knew with a photo with Sasha and Naomi backstage, which was amazing because all black, all 3 of them. Now you got 3 black women as champions in the women's division. It's incredible. It's incredible, and I'm happy for Sasha, even though it wasn't the moment I would have scripted for her, but still, I'm just happy that she got that moment, and she absolutely deserved it. She's the best female wrestler in the world, and it should have never gotten to this fucking point where she hadn't won a WrestleMania match. But I'm just happy that she got it, and she no longer has to, hear that nonsense anymore. Because someone as good as her shouldn't have to deal with that. It is ridiculous that WWE let it get to this point, but it is what it is. I'm just glad that it's over, man. But let me see. I'm guessing that Sasha had to do a backstage interview. So let me see if I can find that on YouTube really quick. Sasha Banks. No, so far I don't see anything. Oh, no, here we go. Yes, there is a backstage interview. Here we go. Let's watch this live. I've not seen this yet.
Sasha Banks, Naomi, congratulations. You've been saying it for weeks that you are the future WWE Tag Team Champions. We don't have to say future anymore because you are the WWE Women's Tag Team Champions. And Sasha Banks, this was your first win at WrestleMania. What was it like to be out there with Naomi and pick up the victory?
Scooching. This couldn't have happened without you.
I would not be here without Naomi. When I came here in WWE in 2015 and I got on the main roster, people have no idea the struggles. Always push through. She and Tamina has always had my back, and tonight, holy whoa. I mean, I don't even know how to express how I feel because I'm just so overwhelmed. One, to reclaim these titles that did not exist 5 years ago because we wanted more. We demanded more and we have more. And now we're gonna create more opportunity for so many more women, and I just can't wait. These mean so much to me. Now it's time to make these the most talked about titles in the WWE. And we're about to bring it. Woo! Hell yeah. Oh my gosh, get it! What? B-A-D, 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 B-A-D.
You are the first black women to win the WWE Women's Tag Team titles.
This is actually
what
kind
does
of
it feel like to
emotional.
make
Wow.
history?
Oh my gosh, this has been a dream of mine ever since we got these titles, to make history, open doors, and so that this becomes something we see more often and not a first. There's still many more doors to knock open and knock down, and we just continuing to blaze that trail that the women before us started and hoped to inspire more. We're excited, we're ready to go, we always ready to work, and we're ready to show why blowing off.
Always ready to show the
Always. We're ready to show why we the best.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
That's great. That's awesome because, this like I said, this is not what we wanted for Sasha Banks' first WrestleMania victory. It's not, if we're being 100% honest, but to see the emotion on her face, right? Like, you can't complain about anything after seeing that, right? If you're a real Sasha Banks fan, you're still going to sit here and be happy for her. Yes, the women's tag titles are they haven't been the best. The only time the titles have ever meant anything is when Sasha has held them. No matter when she the 2 times she held them with Bayley, and now I feel like they're gonna mean a little bit more because it's on her. She's a megastar, and Naomi, who's also a star. So I feel like Sasha and Naomi will elevate those tag titles again. My concern, as always, is once they take those titles off Sasha and Naomi eventually, right? The titles seem to always become useless. It's a cycle. It seems like the titles only mean something when they're on Sasha and whoever her partner is. So, like I said, I feel like for as long as Sasha and Naomi are tag champs, yes, the titles will mean something. And yes, you're going to care about the matches and whatever they have planned, and it's going to be great. But as soon as Sasha and Naomi drop those tag titles to whoever's next in line, which will probably, if I'm willing to bet, it'll probably be Ripley and Liv Morgan, it's just going to be like, what the hell? Is that even going to put care into those tag titles again? That's the thing. I would build up Liv Morgan and Rhea Ripley to take those tag titles off Sasha and Naomi. I would build up Liv Morgan to be the one to beat Bianca Belair for the Raw Women's Championship, if I'm being 100% honest with you guys. Like my friend Dadbot in our Discord server, he said something about Sasha because he was at Mania tonight. He said this. He said, great for Sasha finally getting a WrestleMania win, but nobody cares about the women's tag titles. People in my section just didn't care about it. No reason for Sasha Banks to be stuck with a Houston division no one cares about, like the women's tag titles. She needs to be put back on the top of the card where she belongs. Hey, that's what I say all the time. But, I can't agree more. I want Sasha at the top of the card. Now that Sasha and Naomi are the tag champions, right? Yes, I feel like they're gonna have some great matches. Rhea and Liv, Shayna and Natalya. We know that there's gonna be people coming back to WWE or come back to that women's division, right? Bailey's coming back, Lacey Evans is coming back, Asuka's coming back, right? What if Io Shirai gets called up? You can do Asuka and Io Shirai versus Sasha and Naomi. There's lots of cool matches you can do if WWE puts the care in the women's division, in the women's tag division. They have the talent to have a really good women's tag division. You just got to put care into it and make it important. It's not that hard to have a good women's tag division. You just got to put the care into it, man. But what I would do easily, I would have Sasha come out and challenge Charlotte, and I would say, let's make Two Belts Banks a reality. Like, I think Sasha can easily defend the tag titles and feud with Charlotte at the same time. It's not that hard. We've seen that done a million times in the past. That's what needs to happen. Make Two Belts Banks a reality. I would have Sasha come out on SmackDown and challenge Charlotte. I don't want to see Charlotte and Ronda Rousey. I don't think any of us want to see Charlotte and Ronda Rousey again. And, we'll see. There's going to be people coming back to the women's division, like I just said. We'll see if Asuka's on Raw or SmackDown. I would guess Raw. But, Bailey could easily come back on SmackDown. Will Bailey be a babyface or a heel? We'll see. But still, there's a lot of stuff that can happen, with Sasha and Naomi winning tonight. Lots of different storylines. And I'm excited to see where they go with it. But I am happy for Sasha Banks, regardless of if this is how I envisioned it. But still, man, I can't be any more happy. But yeah. But I was gonna say, hold up. I keep getting text messages. But in terms of the match itself, right? The match itself, look, this match wasn't too crazy, I'm being honest. It was good, right? It went about 10 minutes. But still, like, we all knew going into this match, even as great as Sasha and Naomi are, right? Even as great as Rhea and Liv, there's just not enough care in the women's tag division. That's why now that Sasha and Naomi are champions, right? You gotta use them, the star power, and you gotta use the star power of Sasha and Naomi to bring those titles back up. That's what you gotta do. Cause like I said, if the titles go back to being meaningless the second that Sasha and Naomi drop them, it's just gonna be the same endless cycle. Sasha and Naomi Sasha and Naomi are way too good for you not to put care into them and the tag division. Simple as that. The tag division, the women's tag titles could be just as important as the Raw and SmackDown women's titles. When Sasha and Bailey first won those titles back, how many years has it been now? 3 years, right? WrestleMania 35 before that. When Sasha and Bailey first won those titles a little over 3 years ago, their goal was to make those tag titles as important as the Raw and SmackDown women's titles. And they tried, but WWE just didn't put the care into the tag titles that Sasha and Bailey had. They just didn't. And back when Sasha and Bailey won the tag titles a second time, and they were heels, right? And they were dominant as hell, holding all the gold in the women's division on the main roster. They put care into the women's tag titles. They went to all three brands defending those bad boys. But after they dropped them to Shayna Baszler and Nia Jax, the tag titles went back to being useless. You gotta put care into the tag division. You have to. The tag titles have the potential to be just as important as the Raw and SmackDown women's titles, but you got to put care into them. You got to make the division competitive. Because remember, before Sasha and Naomi reformed as a tag team, right, there was no tag teams in the women's division. It was Rhea Ripley and Nikki ASH and Carmella and Zelina. That was it. And then you broke up Rhea Ripley and Nikki ASH. So here's your chance. You have the women's division, getting back to steam, right? Bianca's champion now. Sasha and Naomi are champions. You're going to have a lot of people returning. This is your time to capitalize on that. Now is the time you need to start building up the women's division again and building up the women's tag division to be something important. It really is that simple. Shouldn't be that hard. But yeah, but in terms of the match itself, like I said, we kind of knew going to Mania that the women's tag match, even though it was the only women's match on night 2, right? Because they did both women's title matches on night 1. We knew that there was going to be some people that just didn't care about it, because there's a lot of people that just don't care about the women's tag titles. But the match itself was okay. I do wish it got a little bit more time, right? But still, the match was okay for what it was. Especially the ending. The ending was pretty good. First off, Naomi had a really amazing entrance. Sasha came out in what looked like to be a green Lamborghini, and it matched with, of course, Naomi's hair and Sasha's attire. Right, it looked like Sasha had a new wig on tonight. She had like light blue hair with green at the ends, with green at her ends, which matched really well with what Naomi was wearing. Naomi was wearing like a legit glow attire, right? So yeah, seeing Sasha get a cool ass entrance like that was awesome, because Sasha deserves those cool ass entrances. She's too good not to be getting those types of entrances, right? You want to give Bianca a whole Marvel Studios logo. You want to give Bianca Belair the marching band logo entrance, which was amazing, right? Sasha deserves those entrances as well. So I love seeing Sasha pull up driving the Lamborghini. That was really cool. And then, the match itself wasn't bad. I did like seeing Rhea Ripley and Liv Morgan in the with the what's it called, the Catwoman attire, right? And Rhea Ripley and Liv Morgan, they are so much better as a tag team than Rhea and Nikki ASH. Like Rhea and Liv, they have natural chemistry. They fit together a lot nicer than Rhea did with Nikki ASH. But still, like I said, like I would build up Rhea and Liv to probably take those titles from Sasha and Naomi, unless you build up some other teams in the future. But the match itself wasn't bad. Sasha did her stuff. Sasha was the best part of this match. She did her double knees. She did her frog splash. She did a suicide dive. Right. We didn't get the double bank statement that we did in the Fatal 4 match a couple weeks ago, but still, Sasha did her things, and her and Naomi did an impact finisher. Sasha has that new finisher that's similar to Chris Jericho's Code Breaker, and it was a really cool way to end the match. And then Sasha got the pin, right? And then seeing her and just the pure joy on her face, right? The emotion, the crowd popped, hard, because they knew how big this was for Sasha. And just seeing her just happy, like she stood there for a couple seconds and she was just so elated with joy. And then, of course, I just played for you guys the backstage interview. Nobody deserves this more than Sasha does. And then, there was a video that was going out on social media of a fan that was sitting by the entrance ramp that recorded Sasha. Sasha said that I did it, and like that was awesome. That was amazing to see, so I'm so happy for Sasha. She deserves this, even though it wasn't, the way we expected it to happen, but the fact that it did happen is the great thing. And I'm happy for Sasha, happy for Naomi, and then we'll just have to see where this goes from here. But so happy for Sasha, man. Definitely still, I want to see Two Belts Banks become a reality. I want to see her go after Charlotte now. But we'll see what happens. But awesome stuff here. Great to see Sasha finally get a moment like that, because God knows how much she deserves it. But yeah, let me look at the chat. I like that. Yeah, King, Toxic Attraction versus Sasha and Naomi. That would be cool. I still don't understand why they have women's tag titles in NXT. Like, imagine Sasha and Naomi being able to go down and have a match with Raquel Gonzalez and Dakota Kai, right? Have a match with Toxic Attraction. go up against Indy Hartwell and her partner, right? I still don't understand why NXT has women's tag titles, but whatever. But I like that idea. King says, I want Naomi to go after Bianca now. That could happen in the future. You never know. Like, I would love to see Bianca versus Sasha versus Naomi at some point, but I just don't think that's happening right now, but we'll see. I see we got some trolls in the chat, so be careful. Don't click any of those links. JD says, I want to know where all these apologists out there saying that she didn't care about her winning. Did her redactions after she won and then her interview say she didn't care? I exactly agree with you. Like, last year when Sasha lost to Bianca, you know, Sasha was super happy for Bianca. That's why she was almost crying at ringside. But you think Sasha didn't want to win that match as well? Come on. JD says, I still believe that she should beat a Bianca, Becky, Bayley, or a Charlotte or Trish in a singles mania for sure. Oh, I agree with you 100%. The Sasha and Trish dream match has to happen. Like, come on. And Trish was there this weekend, too. Trish was sitting next to Bianca at the Hall of Fame. Trish knows that everybody wants that dream match. Like, come on. You keep doing all this garbage with Becky and Lita and Trish and Charlotte. Can we get Sasha some dream matches, please? Come on. You have Becky out there tonight. Earlier today at the WrestleMania panel, Becky was saying how she wants to face Beth Phoenix next, right? Like, Trish, come on. You know the match has to happen. You're getting older every single day. You know what I mean? Like, everyone knows we want Sasha and Trish. You can make it happen easily. So I don't care if it's at SummerSlam this year. Sasha versus Trish needs to happen in the next year. This would have been the best year to kind of do it since Sasha wasn't in didn't have a singles title match at Mania, but still, it needs to happen. How old is Trish is 46. And we all know that it's a little more difficult for a woman, when they get older to compete. So, come on, Trish. You're not getting any younger, so, come on. You could come back for a match with Charlotte, but, we all know the Sasha Dream match is a match we all want, and it's a match we all need. So, make it happen. Make it happen, please. Man, that's my thoughts on that. Anyway, that's it. Yeah. Oh, I would love to see Sasha versus AJ Lee. That's one of my dream matches for sure, Chris. I just don't think AJ's ever coming back. She could. There's tons of matches you could do with AJ Lee, but I just don't think she's ever coming back at this point. But she could. She's already 35. And she left WWE, 2014? No, 2015. WrestleMania, yeah, that was WrestleMania 31 that she left. She left WWE when she was only 28. I know she's doing things like writing books, but I would love to see AJ come back. She's still, super young. But honestly, even if AJ was to ever come back, now that I think of it, she probably would go to AEW where her husband is. But still, I love AJ. Hopefully one day she does come back to wrestling because she's amazing. Love AJ Lee. I'm surprised her and Punk have never had kids. They've never had kids. But that's besides the point. Anyway, I'm getting way off track here. But yeah. So moving on. Pat McAfee versus Austin Theory. This was hilarious. This was entertaining. This was actually pretty damn awesome. So Pat McAfee, this was one of the things I was waiting for all weekend because Pat McAfee, he's one of the only guys that WWE actually lets, be himself, right? And they played a really great video package before talking about McAfee's road to this moment of how growing up he always wanted to be a WWE superstar, right? And this was awesome, man. So the everything about this was something I was waiting. And the WWE universe loves McAfee because they allow him to be himself. He connects with them so easily. Like I said, I said this before. If you guys did not see McAfee's match against Adam Cole back in NXT Takeover, and I feel like the reason why they didn't mention is because Cole's in AEW, and they just don't want to mention anybody that's in AEW. Because if he was still in WWE, they probably definitely would have mentioned that match, But and like I said, they kept mentioning how this was McAfee's first WrestleMania match, but they didn't mention how this was his first time in the ring, right? They didn't say that because they know people who watch NXT remember him competing in NXT multiple times against Cole, and then he was at the NXT Takeover War Games match, and he was great in both those encounters. So, so McAfee had a great video package. Everybody was hyped to see him. He got a huge pop. He came out with the Dallas Cowboys dancers, right? Or cheerleaders, right? Vince McMahon came out. It was great to see him actually be involved in this thing because we heard rumors he was going to be involved, but we didn't know until tonight. And then Austin Theory came out, and Austin Theory got booed out of the building. And this was amazing, just because McAfee was so great, right? McAfee's charisma and his athleticism was fantastic. Theory did a great job of being a heel and getting under everybody's skin. Vince did say something before the match that was something that you got to keep in mind. Vince McMahon, remember, this is the guy who runs the company and runs WWE Creative still at his age. Vince said that Pat McAfee was going to be, or not Pat McAfee, he said that Austin Theory would be a future WWE Universal Champion. Well, that's coming from the guy who runs creative, the boss, And so I would not be surprised if Austin Theory wins Money in the Bank later this year. I could definitely see that coming. But still, the match was awesome. McAfee, with every single move, and even I gotta give Michael Cole credit. I'm hard on Michael Cole a lot on commentary, but Michael Cole was fantastic on commentary here. The energy he brought. I sometimes wish he would bring this more. I wish he would bring this more often. He brought so much energy to everything that McAfee was doing. Because he has a friendship with him. Plus, that's his broadcast partner on SmackDown, and they actually have a pretty good duo because McAfee's unscripted and they just let him do his thing. It's the perfect pairing for Michael Cole, really. So Michael Cole on commentary was awesome. Getting excited for everything McAfee was doing. Cole even said at the beginning of the match that he was gonna be biased here because he wanted to see McAfee shut Austin Theory up. But McAfee really, he held his own. He was doing everything. Oh, one of the best things of the night. So McAfee is beating Austin Theory's ass at next to the announce table. McAfee puts on the headset, right? He puts on the headset and he starts talking shit as he's beating Theory's ass. It was awesome. He starts bashing him into the announce table and he's talking shit. I was like, fuck yes, this is what I'm talking about. This is the charisma there's some superstars lack it. He has it. So McAfee gets Theory back in the ring. Vince is unhappy at ringside, right? And, it just has got better. Theory got some offense in, but McAfee made a comeback. One of my favorite spots of the whole weekend. McAfee does a superplex from the top rope on Theory. Right? And, then Theory McAfee went for a punt kick, right? Which makes sense because he was a punter. Theory reversed it. But Pat was able to get the win with a roll up. The crowd went crazy, and I guess that makes sense. But I kind of wish that McAfee won with the putt. I felt like that would have been a little more cool, but it still was pretty cool. But the crowd going crazy, that was awesome. But this was not the end of it. Because I thought, McAfee was going to get the win, and then he was going to go back on commentary to call the main event with Cole, right? Because they're the SmackDown team. But instead, Vince McMahon gets frustrated with Theory for losing, and then Vince McMahon takes off his suit, he takes off the tie, he takes off his shirt, and he's sitting there in a black tank top, jack as shit at 76, and all of a sudden, we're getting Vince McMahon versus Pat McAfee, impromptu match. Who would have thought in 2022 we would see not only Stone Cold Steve Austin, but a 76-year-old Vince McMahon, both of them having matches at WrestleMania? Absolutely insane. I don't think anybody even predicted that going into this weekend. Nobody did. We thought Stone Cold Steve Austin was just going to have a brawl with KO, not an actual match, but he did. And then Vince McMahon having an impromptu match here with Pat McAfee. Vince didn't really do too much, and like I said, Vince does look old. Like I understand, he does look jacked. He does look in pretty good shape, but he also looks old at the same time. Like he looks jacked and old at the same time, man. You could tell, man. Vince has seen some better days. He was moving around a little bit slowly. It's like he was trying to figure out what to do a little bit, and still so like this like even though it was like funny as hell and cool to see Vince back in the ring, right, and see how jack he really is at his age, it was bad because you had just built up Pat McAfee, right? You just had made this guy look amazing against Austin Theory, and then you kind of tried to undo all of it, And I don't think this will really hurt McAfee a lot in the long run because he's not a full-time wrestler, right? If McAfee could easily be a full-time wrestler if he wanted to. But, he's probably just going to go back to doing commentary. But McAfee, he didn't get much offense on Vince, right? And then Vince, basically he did a couple clotheslines at the end here. Theory grabbed McAfee and then threw him into the LED post. The ref couldn't really do much about it because it's Vince, right? Vince can make up his own rules. So, even though it technically should have been a DQ, it's Vince McMahon. The ref wasn't going to DQ Vince. So, Vince got the win on McAfee. A lot of people were joking that, Vince buried McAfee faster than he buries a younger talent, which is true. But like I said, I do think McAfee will be okay in the long run. It did kind of suck because it was 50-50 booking, right? After having McAfee at the highest of highs just a couple minutes earlier, you brought him down with what you did here with Vince. But I can understand people being angry about this because we talk about this all the time with 50-50 booking in WWE. I do think McAfee will be fine in the long run. The WWE Universe loves him so much that I think he'll be okay. But afterward, the craziness continues, right? Because McAfee, is down at ringside trying to recover. Vince is, Vince is sitting there celebrating with Theory. And I'm just thinking in my head, like, wait a minute. You have Vince McMahon in the ring, right? In Dallas, Texas, of all places. Where the hell is Stone Cold? And right as I'm thinking that, you hear the glass shatter. Stone Cold comes out, basically wearing the same exact thing as he wore last night at WrestleMania Night 1. It was basically just a cleaner shirt, right? A clear Austin 316 shirt. Austin walks down to the ring, just like old times, and he stunned the shit out of Theory. I think Theory just gave us the best sell job of the stunner of all time. All time. We talk about, The Rock, how The Rock would sell the stunner back in the day, and there's been some amazing sell jobs. Shane McMahon was great at selling it as well. Kurt Angle, Triple H was great at selling it. But I really do think Austin Theory probably gave us the best sell of the stunner ever. It was an amazing sell, So I gotta give Theory credit. That was awesome, And then afterwards, what was gonna happen. He does the beer with Vince, and we go from the best sell of the stunner ever with Austin Theory to probably the worst sell of the stunner ever by Vince. So as they're drinking the beer, right, you always know, Stone Cold goes for the kick to the gut, right? But I don't know what this Vince showed he was old, man. I don't know if Vince just forgot it was coming or what. Vince, after Stone Cold kicks Vince, in the gut, Vince starts backing up. Usually, after he kicks you in the gut, you let Stone Cold stun you, and then you sell it however you will. Remember, Stone Cold gave Vince a stunner at Raw 25 a couple of years ago, and it was a decent looking sell job. This was horrible, like legit. Stone Cold kicked Vince in the gut, and Vince starts backing up to the ring ropes. Like Austin had to go grab Vince. You can see Austin was laughing because of how Vince was selling it. And then Stone Cold he stuns Vince, right? Austin stuns Vince, and Austin didn't even go all the way down. I mean, not Austin. Austin stuns Vince, and Vince didn't go all the way down. Vince only went down to his knees, and then he got out of the ring. So it was a horrible sell job. You got like the best sell job ever from Theory, and then you get the worst sell job ever from Vince. Like I said, man, Vince is pretty damn old at this time, but that was funny. And then you have Pat McAfee come back in the ring. Stone Cold and him sell they share a beer, but of course everybody gets a stunner. McAfee got a stunner, and that was it. Stone Cold did the beer bash, and then there was a hilarious image of McAfee at ringside drinking the beer. Hilarious while trying to recover from the stunner. It was hilarious, man. But all in all, I think it was a really enjoyable segment. I was a little bit nervous after they had Vince pin McAfee, but at the end of the day, this was all fun. McAfee will be fine in the long run. And yeah, it was great. Stone Cold, Theory, Vince, McAfee, all of them. This was a very, very, very enjoyable segment. Very, very fun. Really cool. But yeah, that was that. But then yes, they did. I forgot to mention they did do the Undertaker Hall of Fame. Oh, I see a freaking ant on my wall. I gotta kill it. If you don't kill the ant comes back with his family later on. I ain't dealing with that shit. But yeah. Anyway, back to what I was saying. They did do the Undertaker Hall of Fame. Like legitimately, they had the Undertaker come out, of course, last night 1 for the Hall of Fame thing, and they did it again for night 2. They did the same exact thing. If you had gone and watched highlights of this, you would have thought they just took the footage of Undertaker from the Hall of Fame at night 1 and copied and pasted it in night 2. Like it was the same exact thing, entrance and everything. The graphic, Undertaker came out in like the same suit he got inducted in the Hall of Fame with, right? and it was an amazing suit, but it was the same thing. He went to both sides of the stage. You know, he thanked the fans, and it was great. Undertaker deserves it. Like, I'm not complaining about it. I was just surprised that they did the same thing, 2 nights in a row, especially since many of the people that were in that crowd, right, were there for both nights. Many of the people that were there tonight for night 2 were there for night 1, because, of course, you can do, like, the combo ticket. But if it was me, what I would have done is I would have had the Undertaker come out again, but I would have had him come out in different clothes. I would have I would have had the Undertaker come out in his robe, right? In his Roman hat, not to have a match, just to make it a little bit different, because it was a little bit repetitive that you had Undertaker come out in like the same suit 2 nights in a row. But I would have either had Undertaker come out in his robe and his hat, or I would have had the Undertaker come out as the American Badass. Have him come down with the motorcycle, and then, do a couple of these, and that would have been cool. Right? That's what I would have done. I would have done the same exact thing that they did, that they decided to do. But still, if anybody enjoys, or if anybody deserves to be honored multiple nights at WrestleMania, it's the freaking Undertaker. I don't think anybody's complaining about that. Like I said, I would love to see the Undertaker on Monday Night Raw tomorrow night. Just give me, have him freaking have him Tombstone R-Truth or something. I don't know. But I would love to see the Undertaker on Raw tomorrow night. And who knows? It could happen. I feel like the Raw after Mania tonight's going to be an awesome show. And that's me saying good things about Monday Night Raw. When do I ever say do that? But yeah, that's what I just felt like I quick had to mention that. But last but not least, the disappointing main event, which was Brock Lesnar, Roman Reigns, winner takes all, championship unification. They had a graphic basically of half the universe title, half of the WWE title. So I guess I don't know if that's the plan, if Roman's going to come out with like a half blue, half black belt. I hope not. I would rather just have Roman walk around with 2 titles, but whatever. But like I said, the main event was really disappointing, and I wasn't surprised that it was, because I didn't think the main event would be as disappointing as it was, but it was. And I'm not giving them an excuse with Roman Reigns being injured. I'm sorry. Like, they were already the match time was 13 minutes. They were already about 12 minutes into the match before Roman got hurt. And all they were doing were finishers. So it wasn't like the match was doing that well to begin with. I don't know if Roman and Brock were supposed to get bloodied or what the plan was. But still, the match was shit before Roman got hurt. It was a disappointment. Yeah, especially for everything, all the time you've wasted over the last couple months building this shit up, right? The best thing about this was probably the video package. The video package was great, because we all know WWE is unmatched when it comes to video packages. That was probably the only good part about any of this, right? They had Roman come out first. Roman did his entrance, which, his entrance theme does give me goosebumps. I love his theme. But he did his normal walk down to the ring, right? He got his pyro, all that good stuff. And Brock came down to the ring. Brock had his pyro as well. They did the intros where both Mike Rome didn't introduce Brock or Heyman, which was pretty cool. Heyman introduced Roman, and he said how Roman was going to slay Brock. And then Brock introduced himself, because Heyman used to be the guy to introduce Brock, but of course that, Heyman and Brock are no longer together. So they had Brock introduce himself. So poor Mike Rome, he got done dirtied here. And then the match started with Brock taking off his gloves, right? Like he was going to get to a fight. So I thought, Brock was going to bust over Roman at some point. That's usually what happens when Lesnar takes off his gloves. Somebody gets bloodied. But still, this match sucked in my opinion. It was they did nothing that you hadn't seen before. If you've seen any of the Rock and or any of the Brock and Roman matches in the past, you didn't miss anything here. Roman speared Brock through the barricade. Brock did suplexes, did a couple F5s. Roman did his Superman punches and spears, right? But there was nothing really special about this at all. Of course, Brock went for the Kimura lock, and it did look like he actually did hurt Roman's shoulder, because Roman was saying to Heyman at ringside that his shoulder is out, right? And then the match ended pretty quickly after that. There was a very badly botched spear where Roman speared Brock, and it looked like he was going. I don't know if Brock was supposed to turn around and it was supposed to be a spear, because Roman did wind it up by running the ropes a couple times before it, and he just hit Brock in the back, and the commentators tried to make up for it by saying Roman was just trying to go for the kidneys, but clearly you could tell it was a botched spear. But the match ended after Roman injured his shoulder pretty quickly. Like I said, I don't know if that was the planned finish or if the match was supposed to go a little bit longer, but Roman speared Brock, and that was it. It was 1, 2, 3. Kind of very anticlimactic, disappointing, And then, like I said earlier, Roman held off both titles. It looked like, and as he was raising his arm to hold the titles, he put his shoulder back in socket. And then he left the ring. He raised the titles again. The pyro was a little bit delayed, but he did. He called his shot. He said he was gonna do. He said he was gonna hold the Universal title and the WWE title in both his hands, and then have a bunch of pyro going off behind him. And then Brock was in the ring, disappointed, and that was that. That was the end of WrestleMania. No Rock, nothing. And like I said, it was a disappointment in my eyes. I expected Brock and Roman to give us a good match. Even I knew they were going to do the finishers, right? But I still expected Brock and Roman would deliver and at least give us a good match, but they didn't. It was a, underwhelming, disappointing main event. Very, very disappointing. And yeah, that's that. Roman's now the undisputed champion. I've heard rumors that Brock is staying around after WrestleMania. I don't know what the plans are. I would hope they would not be playing a rematch between Brock and Roman at Backlash. I'm sick of it. You guys are sick of it. Like, Brock's great as a babyface, but move him on to something else. You've done the feud to death. Nobody, especially after tonight, after the disappointment which was that main event, why would anybody have any interest in seeing this again at Backlash? We've already seen it 3 times, like we've seen it, we saw it at Crown Jewel in November. We just saw it at WrestleMania, and after the disappointing main event, nobody's gonna want to see it again. And I know that Danny told me that WWE's planning on celebrating Lesnar's 20th anniversary soon, right? Which should be cool. And they're planning on celebrating that in the future. But still, and I have no problems with Brock staying around, but you got to do something different with him. Like, I don't want to see him going after Roman. And if Roman's not losing those titles anytime soon, there's no point in having Brock go after the titles, because I think we all agree Brock and Roman has been done to death, and it needs to be done, and we need to move on. Brock and Roman, I honestly don't want to see them ever again facing off. Like, enough's enough. Enough is enough. Okay. In terms of Roman, I don't know if he's going to be on Raw tomorrow night. I would guess he should be on Raw, but like I said, I have no idea what the plan is for Roman Reigns going forward. I don't know if they're going to bring out a new title for Raw. I don't know if he's going to defend it on both brands. I don't. I don't know if there's, just going to be one Raw title that Roman holds both belts for now. I don't know. We'll just have to wait and see. But for now, Roman is the undisputed WWE Universal Champion. Like I think you need to build up Cody Rhodes to be the one to take those titles from Roman. But we'll see. I definitely think Bobby Lashley and Drew McIntyre are going to be the ones that challenge, Roman first. I don't know if it's going to be individually or they end up doing a triple threat or something at Backlash, but I definitely think that's the route that they're going. I think last year McIntyre will be the next in line to go after Roman. But yeah, we'll see. But even with the disappointing main event, right? WrestleMania Night 2 was pretty good. I will give the edge to Night 1, but as a whole, WrestleMania is now in the rearview mirror, and WrestleMania was great in my eyes. It was great, but. Yeah, I see someone tweet that is something to keep in mind. If Roman's injury is legit, right, what does that mean for the titles? I don't know. Like, that would be that would be interesting. If Roman's injury is legit. If it's a minor injury, I'm willing to bet you just won't see Roman wrestle for a little bit. They'll just have him cut promos like he always does, and they'll probably keep him off live events, right, to keep him safe. But if it is a major injury, like that could be big. That could force WWE to have to change plans. But we'll just have to wait and see until we probably won't have information until tomorrow going into Raw, and we'll have to go from there. But outside of that, that's it. That's it for WrestleMania weekend. WrestleMania weekend, for the most part, did succeed. I will give WWE credit. WWE, even with my thoughts about the card, they did a decent job executing it. The card could have been better, of course, right? Sasha should have been the SmackDown Women's title scene. You could have had better matches in line for Lashley and McIntyre. But all in all, WrestleMania, was a success this week. And the main reason for that is, having 2 nights helps so much. It makes things so much easier to digest. Instead of having to, sit through an 8-hour show, you just have to deal with like 2 4-hour shows, So, credit to WWE. Keep the 2-night format going forward. I don't care what other people say. I'm not listening to you, and I'm not listening to your arguments. If you're on that WrestleMania needs to go back to 1 night. No, they shouldn't. This is the best thing for WrestleMania and for WWE. Keep it at 2 nights. I'm glad that next year in Hollywood it's going to be 2 nights, and hopefully going forward, that's the way it needs to be. But anyway, that's about it, guys. That's about it. That's it. If you guys enjoyed, please leave a like on the video. I just want to say I will be here tomorrow night for the Raw After Mania. I'm expecting a big show. Cody Rhodes has already said that he will be on Raw tomorrow night and with a mic in his hand. So definitely very, very, very intrigued to see what Cody Rhodes has to say in his first WWE promo back in over 6 years. I don't know if Roman's been advertised for the show or not. Hopefully, I'll probably find that out after I end the stream. I definitely expect some big name returns tonight. But I expect some big returns. Expect some craziness. So we'll just have to wait and see what happens. But yeah. So Raw After Mania, that's where we will point our intent. That's where we will point our attention now. The road to Backlash begins right now. The road to WrestleMania 39 in Hollywood begins right now. It doesn't begin 6 months from now. It doesn't begin at the Royal Rumble next year. The road to next year's WrestleMania begins right now. All right. So we'll see where WWE takes us. But yeah, but other than that, that's about it for tonight. Thank you guys so very much for joining me this weekend. If you guys enjoyed the night 1 and night 2 reviews, I tried my best. Leave a like if you enjoyed. If you guys haven't seen the night 1 review, it is live on the channel. Go check it out. Subscribe if you guys are new to the channel. Click the bell next to my name, Fitz TV, so you guys are notified every time I post a new video. Thank you to everyone who live tweeted with me this weekend. Other than that, I will see you guys later. You guys are awesome.